When the lights and camera turn off, I will be here. When the interest and conversation fade, I will be here. When there's no one around, a father will do anything it takes to be there for his son, to protect his family.
David.
Where's everybody?
9 painful months.
Without these special people behind me, I wouldn't have a search.
Because of the way seatbelt lock, so we know seatbelt.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dave Robinson. I hope you all having a happy New Year. So it's not quite the end of the month, so I still can say Happy New Year to you. So thanks so much for joining in with me tonight. I want to do a little Q&A, something simple, just really short. Again, I'm Dave Robinson, the father of geologist Daniel Cornelius Robinson. My son Daniel went missing out in that Sonoran Desert on June the 23rd of 2021. I am still searching for him, still looking for him, doing everything I can to make sure I bring my son home. And I really appreciate everyone who has been a part of that. You all have been a part of that from day one, from different ways. Support here on social media, those who's out in the desert searches with me, those who's out in the city searches with me, those who did the flyer distributions, the prayers, the tips, you name it, the donations. You guys have been donating. I really appreciate each and every last one of you for everything you have been doing for the past few years, and also just believing in everything I'm doing. And like I said, the support has always been great. So tonight, I don't have big intentions to be on too long. I always say that, and then I get long-winded and to be on for hours. But tonight, I just kind of want to focus on the comment sections. Comment section, I want to answer some questions you may have about my son's case. Even if you have questions about me, what I'm doing right now, but about my son's case and things I can answer for you to bring some clarity. It's been a long time. Some people still haven't heard of Daniel's story, and those who have still have questions. I have questions a lot of times, but I can give you everything I know so far. And also, I want to share with you. I'm going to probably talk about this on the latter end of this Q&A on this live stream. But I have created a pamphlet here of the journey we walk, and it's a guide to help families. And I created this, I believe, about 2 years ago, to help families navigate how to and what to do whenever you have a missing loved one. It's been on the website. It's we need to put on Please Help Find Daniel website, but it's been on the Daniel Robinson Foundation's website. And I want to be able to share some of those information with families who have missing loved ones. If you listen to my voice right now, I know there's a lot of families right now, currently as I'm speaking, who have missing loved ones. So I mean, it's something tragically we have happening every day. Over 3,000 people go missing every day in our country. 2,000 children. So it's a sad situation. And I'm doing my part. I'm doing my part to help bring families missing loved ones home. Even when I have my son that's still missing, you all are doing the same thing. Have been really sharing stories like Daniel's, sharing other family member stories. Those things are important. Families like myself, we really rely on you guys who share the stories, who put out there on your social media platforms. That's why I always encourage everyone to at least find a story a day. If you can't do it every day, whenever you can, but share a story as much as you can. Of someone that's missing, help that family out, because your voice, your sharing can actually bring a person home. You'll be surprised. I have people who live right there in Buckeye. There are people who live in Tempe and in Phoenix, and never heard of Daniel's story. Then you come over here in Columbia, you don't hear people say they didn't hear about Daniel's story. But then you can talk to somebody who live in Germany, or you can talk to somebody who live in, I use this all the time, Little Whiskey, Georgia, or Catskill, New York, or something, and they have heard of Daniel's story. So it depends, how we're sharing, rather through the flyer distribution, through word of mouth. Word of mouth is always the strongest way, and sharing on your social media. Those things really help. So again, tonight is mainly focused on the comment section. If you have any questions, please, by all means, ask your question tonight. And the way you do so to help me out is put the capital Q before your question, or a question mark before your question, or the word question itself before your question. So when I come down the comment section, sometimes I do read some comments, but I want to identify what is question and what is not, especially if you're on Instagram. Instagram, I can't put you on the screen easily. I see Carts here. I thank Carts for being here. Put a smile on my face on the Instagram side. If you have any questions on the Instagram side, please put your question up. I can see them, and I'll answer those as well. And thank you, Sarah. I think on Instagram. Thanks so much for your well wishes on me find those answers. I will. I really appreciate that. So again, tonight I'm focusing on the comment sections, and would like to answer some of your questions that you have. And again, I would talk about the journey. The journey, I would talk about that. Again, I'll put it on the screen here. Talk about the journey, how you all can get this copy. It's on the Daniel Robinson Foundation.org, and you can download it, give it to a family who need it. You can, share it on your social media, whatever, however you want to use it. It's there. It's there to help as many people as I can. And I think it's important. Of course, with everything I have been doing for the last few years, it's kind of hard to juggle everything. I mean, some people say, "Hey, Mr. Robinson, how you doing so many things?" And I'll be honest with you, mainly I say almost 90% of everything I do is a one-man job. I'm doing it by myself. I do have help, but the bulk of what I do is like a one-man band, I like to call it, just doing it myself. And so some things kind of move kind of slowly, but I'm doing it. I'm make sure I'm staying on the job. So I need your help. Constantly need your help. So thanks so much. I'm going to the comment section right now. And I'm looking on Instagram. Trust me, you guys on Instagram, I'm looking over there as well. If you have any questions, please answer your question. Thank you, Stephen, for being here. I wish I could put you all on the screen, Instagram. I could, but it won't look so, the clarity wouldn't be there for anyone to be able to see anything. E.T., thanks so much for being here. I truly appreciate you being here as well. To see the view. Thanks so much for being here. And to see here, Annabelle, thank you so much for being here. You said hi. I believe you have already explained about it. But what Daniel's coworker, the one who saw him last, say about it. Okay, and now we can start off with you, Annabelle. I'm going to mark that because I'm going to come back and answer your question. But if anybody else have any questions, please, by all means, again, put the word question before your question, a question mark, or a capital letter Q before your question. That'll help me identify, especially if you're on Instagram side. I'm looking at the other screen. That'll help me out tremendously. Courtney, thank you so much for being here. If I say your name again twice, I apologize. But thanks so much for being here with me tonight. Correct. Yeah, I guess how you said it, but thanks so much for being here. I'm trying to get it right. Thanks so much. I truly appreciate you being here tonight. Also, I have here, let me see who else I got here. Tammy, thanks so much for being here. How do you get one? Yeah, go to the DanielRobinsonFoundation.org and you can download it there. I wish I could get something in more of a soft copy, soft back or hardback or something. But yes, definitely something I think is very beneficial to families if you can share it with a family member from my experience. And that's more I'm going to be adding to it as well as time progresses. There's some more things that can be updated on it and add addition to it. Some things that I have learned in this journey. So I always will share as much as I can. So again, I will be updating that to add more for families. But that's what I have based on things that happened in this search for my son. So I'll be able to share some of the things that I think could be relevant and also beneficial for a family who's struggling right now. Because again, as I'm speaking, there's at least 3,000 people have gone missing. Americans have gone missing last year. I would say last year. I want to start off this year because it's first month. But I can tell you last year here in South Carolina, in the first month we had the second month in February we had 200 and so I think it was 235 people missing that quick in the year that just began. So I don't know the numbers for this year for 2026 just yet, but every year we have over 600,000 Americans go missing. So just keep that in mind. So that someone needed. We have 3,000 people as we speak today. I can say in this country we had at least 3,000 people went missing today. And so we have to pray for those families and do our part. So thank you so much, Tammy. I really appreciate it for being here. Brother Vince, thanks so much for being here. I'm proud of you, Battle, buddy. Not for giving up. But thank you so much. And thank you for your service. You said that. I know you must be in the military. So thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Yes, definitely. Not giving up. We don't we don't do that, especially our service. We always been in the military. We always never leave a fallen comrade, never leave a battle buddy behind. We're gonna bring ours back home. Daniel is my son, so of course I'm bringing my son back home, doing everything I can to bring him home to our family. And yes, not giving up. One way or the other, I'm gonna find my son. I'm really pushing hard for that. So thanks so much, Annabelle, for being here. Thank you, Tammy, for being here. I lost my son to I think that's OD. I'm so sorry that you for your loss, Tammy. I'm not sure of the conversation. I'm sure you had a conversation. But yes, I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your time with me. I have Annabelle. Thanks so much for being here. Okay. Oh, there you go, brother Vince. Right. So you put Sister Eighth there to put a smile on my face, of course. Okay. Gotcha. Which I know exactly who you are. But yes, we serve. Yes, that's right. Yes. So thank you so much. Yes. You put that 6'8" there, so I know what you're talking about. But thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here and supporting me and having my back. Right. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you, brother. God bless on that. Also, I have a question. I do have a question on the Instagram side, and I don't want to miss anybody on the Instagram, but I do have one from the Original Sin podcast. Question was, I'm sorry, we haven't been able to follow Daniel's and your family's journey recently. What are the new developments? I don't know where where you probably was last updated on Daniel's case, but I can tell you not a whole lot of updates, other than the fact that I did have that search back in April 12th in 2025 that had brought a new search, 3-part search, which out of the search we didn't get anything much out of, but I got the Buckeye Police Department to do something. Right, we do have as a lead, and I that's what I meant to do. And I think I said this before, and I think I had to miss last Friday for a different reason, Mercy situation. But I was intending to make public a tree with that's riddled with bullet holes that you all needed to see. And this search that I had Buckeye to search the area was based on that. And so that was done. That's some things that happened I can say, of course, during the course of that search that week, up to the search on the 10th, the search was on the 12th, but on the 10th, I was able to sit down. I think it was the 9th and the 10th, but I was able to sit down with the Buckeye Police Department and get their promise and make some agreements of things they would do in exchange of taking possession of those things that they have given to me from the crime scene. The vehicle, the clothing items, everything that was found on the scene, to get it back and put it in their possession to do those full forensic work, because that's only some things that only law enforcement do to keep the integrity, the chain of custody, the things that's important for Daniel's case. Peradventure, someone come and confess or say they did XYZ, we'll have evidence and things. So it's really important the way things were done. So we was able to come with some agreements of things that's going to be done, from the law enforcement standpoint, to take these things back in custody. Things that should have been done from day one, that wasn't done when that vehicle showed up on the scene. So was able to do that. Use body cam. They had body cam. I had my own footage. From signing papers, transfer of custody of these items and things. But I can tell you to date, they have not kept their promise. Those some of the things that really, really problematic, because I had to finally thought it was going to be a reset with the Buckeye Police Department where I can build some type of trust, factor, as it's now a new year, and those things that I asked that they promised me they was going to do, they didn't do. And so I'm really disappointed with that. But what it is, they should have tested those airbags for DNA, to work up on the vehicle in the proper way, other than just the shifter, all the airbags deployed. So they want to make sure they're checking all the airbags, and plus the passenger side as well. So who else been riding the vehicle? The clothing items that our family, we don't identify. I don't want to miss anybody on Instagram, because it is going up, and I'm trying to find a way to keep your messages downward so I would not lose anybody, because I see some questions there that I want to answer as well, so I don't want to miss those. But yeah, the clothing items that we don't identify, that belongs to Daniel. I don't see Daniel every day, but his sisters see him mostly every day. And those things that we don't recognize, we want to make sure it's not just planted clothes there, and they just force them to say, hey, that's your son's clothing. Just make us accept that without evidence, right? And so those things haven't been done. He sprayed it with some chemical, he said, to test for blood, and it won't mess up DNA, is how you put it. And they done that, but haven't tested for DNA to make sure that it's Daniel's clothing. And things like that. So it's a lot. And also with the information on the other cell phones, and it is so much stuff. But anyway, they had the custody change. They haven't done anything yet. There's also, you saw in the report when they spoke about swabbing the steel wheel, door handle, shifter, and let's get those things compared to something, right? So the way they had botched this whole investigation, and Detective Biffin at the time botched everything. They have nothing to compare things with, at least, and then when I asked him about it, he said, oh yeah, we're doing as was. I said, well, how are you doing it when you have nothing to compare to? Then he kind of started stuttering and started throwing the blame on some other woman that's in another department in Buckeye. So like I said, it's starting to feel like a game again, and I'm not, really satisfied, and really hurt about that part. But that's the things that's going on development wise. I want to jump on the question before I go all the way up. I do see Q for peace. You have a question. Did Daniel case get reopened? Also, did you ever get your hands on his survey? And you say a survey. I'm not sure about the survey part, but I do have pictures that Daniel took of the logs and things. I'm assuming that's what you're speaking of. So I always had that. I got that off of Daniel's cell phone. When it comes to his case being reopened, it should have never closed. This is not it's far from a cold case. Like I stressed with the, and I'm going to pull you guys up on Instagram if I can on my phone, because if I don't, I think I'm actually losing some of your questions there. So what I'm going to try to do is pull you up on my phone so I can not lose your questions. I really don't want to lose anyone's questions, because it's scrolling up as people coming on. So Let's see here if I can get this real quick. But yes, those things. I'm sure I got it here. I think I got some comments. There we go. Okay, now I'm there. I got you. So I think I can do it off my cell phone to make it a little easier. So I just want to make sure I'm not losing your questions here. Uh-oh. Anybody can tell me a better way of doing this, I will appreciate it. I thought I can do it this way. It's not working for me right now. But yes, if I miss your questions, please ask the questions again. But yes, what I was saying is that, and I think I probably lost train of thought right now. But again, I'm just really disappointed with that. Daniel's case should not have been closed. So if you got information that's saying his case is closed, it's not. Far as I know, Buckeye Police Department as well don't keep me updated on anything they are doing on their end. And to prove that is to say, when I was brought to my attention that Daniel had a new investigator on the case, for instance, I didn't know that. And I didn't know that new investigator was there until I called. So I happened to call to get an update, and then to my surprise, they did. So I want to apologize up front, you guys who was on my chats. I don't have any moderator tonight, I don't think, because usually my moderators are able to take out things that shouldn't be on my chats. And you probably see a spam that's up there from a Steven. And what I'm saying is I try to do my best to kick them off right now, but sometimes people, and I'm saying this to families as well, there's people that literally can come on things like this when you have families who is in pain, who's suffering, and they look for opportunities to try to increase other people's pain, and they get pleasure out of that. So I don't know why, but people do that, but they have that kind of use of life to cause pain. So I just pretty much want to say, so if you see anything that come up on the comments and things that's not proper, appropriate, please, disregard that. That's sometimes what people like to do. So anyway, I want to go with Kate. Like I said, if I miss your question, please ask your question again, especially if you're on Instagram. I can always pull everybody else's questions up. KQ for Peace have another question. Based on Daniel's findings, was there sufficient water in the well for new development? As we know, no. We already know the information that came back from water reports is that, of course, no, that's not enough water for that development. And so what they have done, the Howard Hughes Corporation and some others, they scaled back. They scaled back on how many development houses they'll put in there for now, as they kind of scale upwards to fit that quota, you can say, for those wells to be able to handle or to accommodate their development. And the crazy part is that it's about that money. It's about that money. This development is about money, and they're gonna go forward to try to make sure they do what they can to continue to develop. Right. A lot of people have their hands into that. And that's one thing I did learn about that whole project out there. So, Annabelle, thanks so much for being here, and thanks so much for your question. Your question is, say hi. I believe you have already explained about this, but what Daniel's coworker, the one who saw him last, say about it? Yes, well, for those who don't know as well, so thanks so much for the question. I really appreciate it, Annabelle. The whole story about my son, pretty much the whole narrative about what happened to my son, is based on Ken Elliott's story. That's his name. He works for a company called Weber Waterworks. He's a driller, and so Daniel's job, Matrix New World, Matrix Southwest Groundwater, is the person that come in and assess the wells. His company drills the well. So my son was meeting Ken out off of Sun Valley Parkway and at that desert site. I mean, at the well site. And according to Ken, that's where the story comes from. Ken's story. Hey, Your son met me on the shoulder of Sun Valley Parkway at the gate. He followed me into the desert, 1 mile west, 2 mile north. And when they made it to the well site, it was at 9 o'clock that morning. He said that I guess immediately, the way it make it sound, they had a conversation about the weather. He said some other things I'm not mentioning right now because it's crazy to me about his eyes and looking all staring off in the distance and this kind of stuff. And also that he somehow, though he lived in Tempe, Arizona, he wanted to go to Phoenix to rest. But he said some of those things. After they talk about the weather, one point he said it was raining to one officer, but the other officer, he said it appeared to go around there looking at a weather app. He was looking at a weather app to see if this rain was going to come through because he saw a rain cell. And so, whichever of those you want to believe, he said at that point, Daniel pretty much waved to him, waved at him, and just hopped in his vehicle and just drove off and never been seen again. So that's his take on it. As a father, dissecting his story, it's a lot of inconsistencies. He said Daniel was there at 9 o'clock with him. He was gone at 9:15. And then he changed the story later and said 9:30. They made it to the well site. And the other part is at 9:15, if Daniel was gone, but 9:28, Daniel made a phone call to him, right? That don't make sense. So Daniel's last phone call ever was at that time to Ken. And I can tell you earlier that morning, before when Daniel was supposed to have been at the first well site, before going there, Ken called him and tell him not to come at all because he'll let him know when to come because of some fueling issues. And so we had to back those stories up, like I said, with law enforcement who have not taken the time to interrogate the story, to look at the cell phone data to see if he was really where he was located when all this was going down, all that kind of stuff. The last person to see someone in a situation like that, story should be scrutinized. They should be the first suspect, right? So they haven't done that. And I can tell you, in to date, 2026, the only known persons that I know have ever been in interrogation room with Buckeye Police Department was myself and my daughter. And we're the only two. Some reason they felt to put us in the interrogation room. I didn't know at the time. They brought us in the back door, set us in this room, this little small room. I had never been in some situation like that, so I didn't know what this room was until I started thinking about it. So wait a minute, this is an interrogation room. Why we would be in an interrogation room, answering questions like, that's when they first asked for, if we know Daniel's bank statement. I mean, how to get it, his bank information or his cell phone stuff. So my daughter literally had hold her phone like this, you guys, and it was so when you sit on the porch, they say, "Oh, we obtain phone records." I question all of that because they actually did it by us holding the phone up to their face across the table, right? And so those type things. But anyway, needless to say, but to answer your question, that was the story that Ken gave was inconsistent to a lot of things. It don't make sense with the travel. But if they insist, and I'm gonna use it like this: if Buckeye insisting that the vehicle was there around 10 or so that morning, then they should be scrutinizing Ken's story when he told me. And you guys, I have pictures, and I showed you this before when I was writing the notes as Ken was talking to me when I did come. The first person I wanted to see really was Ken when I first came to Arizona. I brought my daughter and another person with us. So I have witnesses, and also I was writing notes. You can see it in the picture. And so it's not like I missed what he said to me, and I gave it to Buckeye Police Department. They still don't see the parallel to his story that he told me. Not the story that he told law enforcement, but the story he told me, staying left of the tracks, that he knew that this thing was going to go national. Those type things, right? And then if you listen to the story he told me, be honest with you guys, it'll lead you to the area where the vehicle was found. And so it's direct, and that was way before the vehicle was found. When he was telling me this, and I gave this to the law enforcement. So, and they don't see anything strange about that. All of a sudden, the vehicle showed up in the area where he was describing he was going to, right? And so, so you kind of think about that. You think about things like that. So yeah, the story need to be scrutinized again when someone's the last person. I want to get this real quick, Kate, for a piece. Based on Dane's findings, were there insufficient water? Okay, I think I answered that one already. And thank you, Annabelle. I really appreciate your question as well. Anybody else have any questions? Please, if you're on, I see you guys on Instagram have done that, but those who on Facebook, YouTube, if you have any questions, please, 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 what can help me define your questions, put a capital letter Q before your question, the word question, or a question mark, and that help me find so I won't miss your question. All right. Annabelle, thanks so much for your question. Thanks so much for being here off of Facebook. Have searchers found any sinkholes or pits in the area? I've hiked a lot in the desert and come across many deep holes where someone could fall in and not be able to get out. And and that was some of the scariest parts of going out in the desert when I was out there. When I first started my searches, I had to do a lot of research. I had to do a lot of understanding about the desert out there, the Sonoran Desert. And over in that area where Daniel went missing, Amanda, sorry, I said your name wrong, but Amanda, thanks so much. What I have learned is that there's prospect mines out there. There's big gold rush area days back in the days. They had a lot of gold out there. They still have gold out there, and people's digging mines. A lot of them unmarked mines. They find most mines and mark them. You know where they at, but there's a lot of them out there that don't have markings, right? So you're right. You can just drive into them. You can fall into them, and they go straight down into the earth. So yeah, those things have always been problematic for me. And in my searches, that's why if you all remember, those who've been following my searches, I have been really pushing hard to get drones out there because I needed them real bad for purposes like that. Just what I was saying. We had those mines and things that's out there, and it could be easy for, like you said, Amanda, that someone could fall into, and that was my worry. And then on top of that, I did find a few mines. I did some horizontal mines. I even went in to check one, but the vertical mines, they go straight down. They're BLM, Bureau of Land Management areas, and to date, I have a really difficult. First, they was working with me until they found out about Daniel's case and this and that, and then it turned from the federal folks turned to get signed with law enforcement and wouldn't even go down and go into these mines. So I did find a few mines. Buckeye Police Department made excuses why they couldn't go get a mine search. Saying, hey, their tires couldn't take the terrain or something to that effect, and their quads. But yes, there's a lot of them out there, and that do kind of throw a lot of fear there when wonder. And I don't know. I don't have any evidence of that yet, but those things I do consider. That's the reason why I need those search as well. All right. Let me see here. Let me see. I have to keep doing you guys, and I see if you see any bad comments. And like I told you before, there's always someone out there in life that can take even the best situations in life and see a thrill and a love for causing other people more pain and suffering. So you guys see these comments in there, like from this Omar. Just ignore those. That's called people who just don't have disregard for others, right? It seemed heartless in the sense that maybe they need something to help themselves. They need to go get help. But again, forget those. We can skip over those. I'm mentioning it because there's a reason I have to mention it, because I have sometimes when I came on my live streams trying to desperately search for my son, people who was in the comment. That's why you have to have moderators in the comments to block a lot of these things when I'm talking, right? And so it's a shame when you have to try to do that and talk to people with common decency and things like that. And you have these other ones that come in. Okay, I'm coming to one of your questions there. I think is Chrism, but let's see. Okay. All right. Oh, I think I got the wrong person. I believe I had grabbed the wrong person here. Let me see. Uh-oh. I think I got the wrong person, but let's see. I'm sorry, everyone, that these comments have caused a little problems on the chat section on that side. But anyway, KP for peace. Based on Dane's findings, was there any sufficient water? And okay, I think I have that one. You have also, to your knowledge, did Ken attend the first candlelight vigil? To my knowledge, he didn't attend anything. You know, for a person who he haven't attended any of my searches, as far as I know. You know, I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him there. He haven't knowledge self. You know, I've asked myself questions about that. For a person who say, "Hey, I traveled and I went to go look and do this and that," and I was so concerned having him attend these searches, right, to go look for Daniel on Saturdays on the public search. So I can't say what a person should or shouldn't do, but it don't match us what the way they move. It just don't match. It didn't match up. So I always had an issue with that part of it, not understanding why. So let's see here. Any more questions here? Thanks so much for being here, Chrism. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Oh, and that is the question. I apologize. Was there any evidence recovered at or around Dan's wrecked vehicle that has given any leads at all? Yes. It's a lot. The vehicle itself gave the leads. When I say leads, it gave us evidence of foul play. The vehicle's placed there. It was put there. Just to even break that down, Chrism, it is literally impossible. And much as I wish I had the pictures here, as much as that the Buckeye Police Department want us to believe that somehow the vehicle lied on the side and the wheels rolled for 11 miles, just running. I guess the vehicle's supposed to be running and the wheels moving for 11 miles, to put that 11 additional miles on there, trying to explain away that position, right? Also try to explain away the 46 initial cycle. They'll just say, "Oh, well, we just don't know how that happened," right? Want you to believe that Daniel was lying on and sitting in the passenger seat, or for whatever reason why the vehicle's lying on the side, trying to crank it up for 46 times, right, after the airbags deployed. So that don't make sense. We want you to not use your brain and defy logics and your own common sense, that God gave each and every last one of us. And so that's evidence all by itself. The red transfer paint, there's red transfer paint on the passenger side, the side where the vehicle's lying on the ground. There's nothing red in the desert. We all know cactus is not red. We know the plants out there are not red. Nothing's red in the desert. The vehicle came in contact with something red. We also have the two impressions on the windshield that don't match the terrain where the vehicle's lying down in a ravine. Something or someone's trying to bash in. I just go on and on and on, but the vehicle itself showed a lot of information when it comes to leads. The clothing, we have some things that have been put out. Law enforcement is very picky on what they want the public to know and don't know. But what have also been found is evidence of someone using these ropes tied up almost like nooses. And I have pictures of that that I will probably be sharing with the public eventually. But that was in the area, real close to where the vehicle was found. When I say close to the vehicle found, I say about a good 20 or 30 paces away from the ravine where the vehicle was dropped down into. Those are evidence. But then when I went to go have them to collect those evidence, it disappeared, right? So those type things. And then the overall, if you want to say the scene itself, the area is known to. We found human remains out there, despite of the fact that The Buckeye Police Department want to narrow us down to 2 human remains. We have multiple human remains out there, at least 6 or 7 people out there deceased that we found, right, in my searches. So it's a big crime scene. The fact that also the human skull was really that we found was close in proximity to that crime scene as well. And also, I can go on and on and on, but the crime scene itself, yeah, it did yield a lot of information that is relevant. These socks, the clothing off this body, everything that's from the underwear down the sock, one of the sock that should have been there with those clothing was found near the well site area. So those type things, so we have a lot of things that came off of that. Let's see, I don't have no more questions over on the Instagram side. I have a comment, I think, here. Barbara, thanks so much for being here. If you have any questions, please, again, if you have a question, I see Melissa have one. I really appreciate, Melissa, the way you did, and I'll put you up in a second. Barbara, I followed you from the beginning. The story from coworker doesn't mesh. Those workers in that line of work know what's out there. My fear is he is one of those so-called holes, in one of those so-called holes. Daniel deserves to be found, and your family deserves closure. Yes, I like I say again, the sin that there are mines out there. There's some we probably just didn't find. I was utilizing the drones. That's why I was really pushing really hard for that. So I was able to get one drone personally, but I had the Black and Missing Foundation pay for a drone company to come out at one point. I also had people who came out to the searches had their own individual drones, but I wanted some certain specialized drones for just what you were saying. So we did the best we can with the what we could do out there. So I'm really grateful, and I'm really proud of the work we have done. We've done a lot, and so what I was saying is those drones did help. At times when I want to go out in the areas ahead, especially when I'm doing line searching with the volunteers, I like to go out ahead of the line search to look for anything that's suspicious. Don't want anybody to fall into mine and things like that. So we always, before we do our searches anyway, we go out that weekday before Saturday and assess the area that we want to search, and get the drone out there. Look for things, hidden dangers, you name it. And so when volunteers come out, they're basically safe. So those things, like you said, is out there. We know that those mines all over the place. It just that I only can say in my weeks of searches out there, we only found a few of them. And so whether there's others out there, I know they are. We just haven't seen them. We haven't seen them. So again, and then it kind of begs for you guys to understand why some people ask, hey, why are you out there for 50 weeks of desert searching? If you was out there, if anybody, like you're saying, you've been out in desert areas, anybody who ever been out into a desert, I mean, it's easy for a city guy like me, or I say from a southern guy like me, who have never been into the desert. I'm on the East Coast, and when I was out there, well, I'll take that back. I was in Afghanistan. That's a different desert, and I was in a vehicle, so convoys and things like that. But when I'm saying you're actually on the ground and you're trying to search on the ground, it's not like searching a neighborhood or something. If a person, you stand in one spot and we got to search for this person and say which direction did they go. If I could turn slightly to the left, that's another direction. I can turn slightly a little bit more, that's another direction. So each way from that pinpoint, you're going out in these different directions all around, right? We'll bring up a bigger area. That's how big the desert is. So you never ever can fully have enough people most of the time to cover a lot of the areas, but we did our best. What we did is break things down in grids. So when you break it down in grids, you keep track of what you have searched, and then you go to the next, and it just takes time to get the area that needed to be searched based on 11 additional miles, based on the science of how far a person can walk without water, because there's no evidence he's carried water if he walked away from that scene. We put all those factors in place to get what we call a circumference, or area that we know how far we need to go out to start searching, right? And so, like I say, even to this date, I can tell you, we haven't searched everything. Still haven't searched everything. So, but we searched a lot. If you go look at the sector map, you see, and that's not even showing everything because a lot of stuff we have when it comes to area we search being destroyed because of change with the Matrix New World. I was using their mapping system at the time. But we covered a lot of ground. We covered a lot. Like I said, 35,000 acres of land we covered out there. So that's a lot. Probably 36,000 acres of land for the new search. But thanks so much for that question. I don't see any on Instagram. I do have a question. Oh, okay. Now, Amanda, thanks so much for your comment. I'm gonna put the comment first before I go to Melissa. Realistically, he could only have been able to walk a few miles in 115 degrees, any mines or sinkholes within a few miles. Yeah, he could have. There's no way he can. Yeah, that's why when I first started my searches, it was a rescue mission. Of course, I needed to get out there fast. That's why I tried to search as fast as I could. And because law enforcement wouldn't do it, I had to get out there. So I was able to get it done, get those things started. But quickly, within a few weeks, of course, it turned to a recovery because, yes, like I said, we was out there 118 degrees, and we seen cattle and things like that couldn't make it in that kind of heat. So, so yes, you're right. Right, that's very difficult. All right, have a question here. Thanks to Melissa so much for the question. And again, you guys, how Melissa have done it here. If you put the capital letter Q before your question, the question mark, or the word question, that really helps me find your question. Because I don't want to be on tonight really long. I really want to answer a lot of questions. So if you have questions, I'm gonna come down and try to find your questions. Do you have the exact place where the airbags went off? I have often wondered if maybe Daniel got out at the airbag location and somehow the vehicle kept going on his own. Just thought that would have changed the search location. God bless your searches and bring your boy home. Thanks so much for that question, Melissa. And that's one thing we haven't had a answer to where exactly. Like my investigator found, the vehicle came in contact with something that made the airbags go off, right? And it was, I think it was on the, if I want to quote him right, it was on the passenger side of the impact that caused that. And so whenever that airbag deployment happened, um, it appears, I don't want to get this wrong. I want to make sure that I'm right about this. But according to my investigator, he would say when it came to the first accident, and then it was driven after that, the 11 additional miles. So the impact came first, and then the 11 additional miles. I can't not and I cannot see how 11 additional miles. First of all, came from that ravine that's lying on the side, came in impact with the ground. That was the stoppage, right? And then the 11 additional miles came after that. What the law enforcement try to explain away that is they put in their report to say somehow they went to a dealership instead of going to the manufacturers. And I'm telling you the reason why, my opinion, why law enforcement didn't go to the manufacturers, right? Who actually made Jeep, right? I think it was Chrysler. And because what the problem is they go to the manufacturers and ask the same question, would that match? These two things match? They already know what the manufacturer would say. Yes, they are matched because it's not a recall on these vehicles. The manufacturers would not have a liability where, in a situation like Daniel's case, where a family comes sue because the information on that dash and that computer don't match, right? And so of course they're gonna say it's it doesn't happen. My investigator have done it several times, and he said it doesn't happen. But they went to a dealership and say, I don't know if they knocked on the janitor's back and asked him, and he said, yeah, that happens all the time. And then they wrote in their report, I don't know. But they chose to go to some dealership, and at somebody. I don't know who that somebody is, So that's not police work to me. You go to do thorough work and find those real answers by going to a manufacturer. But when it comes to that airbag, like you said, deploying at the initial crash, um, I don't know the location. I cannot tell you. I just know where the vehicle was found, and what we have done is kind of try to pinpoint that by saying 11 miles away from that point, right? Um, it's also plausible that the vehicle was towed there, right, and dropped in that ravine. I want to back up too because what law enforcement have been saying. You guys got to think about this too. Well, I've been hearing about this vehicle being there for 30 days before there was anything about Mile IQ, and I want everybody want to understand this too. You'll probably hear something about Mile IQ app with law enforcement. Law enforcement did not find Mile IQ app on that phone. What it is, they gave me that phone, right? I found Mile IQ app, and as a matter of fact, I was going to do that as well, which I'm planning to do as well, is to show you guys the email. I don't put the gentleman's name out there because he's the owner of the app and things like that. But what I want to do is just show the email. Make sure I redact those names. But I want to show the email. The email I have reached out to Mile IQ because I found the app once I got the phone and see if there's a way to do. But to be honest with you, Mile IQ app said Mile IQ was like, "Hey, we don't have that." I think it was some data that was destroyed because they don't have the retention for that. And also, he also cautioned me about utilizing any information that comes from that app because it can be not accurate, right? It don't record all the stops and this and that and things that can happen in between and all that kind of stuff, right? So it can mislead you and give you some false readings, right? So he didn't want that. However, law enforcement, once I brought it to Detective Biffin's attention that, hey, maybe we can get something from this Mile IQ app, he reached out to them and they refused to cooperate with law enforcement because I think they really didn't want their stuff to be used that way. And also, I don't know, but he kind of put it on me. Say, hey, look, I'm gonna give it to you, but you can give it to law enforcement if you want to. So that's how Buckeye ended up with those things. But what I'm saying is they're resting their hat on that because it matches what they have been trying to say prior to all of the Mile IQ app stuff. I mean, literally on the same week the vehicle was found, they was already telling me it'd been there for over 30 days without evidence. And then they stopped basing it on a hard hat with water in it, right? And so I really dismissed what ended up happening. I ended up scientifically calling it BS, to make a long story. And because of that, they kind of put them in a strain. And so, like I said, the Mile IQ app to them was their savior. When I said their savior is the Buckeye Police Department, who wanted to be 30 days badly for whatever reason. So what I'm saying is with the information I have gotten from that Mile IQ app, I'm not basing the facts on that. I'm basing the facts on that we need these cell phone pings, right? That the law enforcement was refusing to get at the time. And I'm sure they, just like they waited for me to dismantle Danny's apartments. And then they literally listened to me because I talked on Q&A. They told me to watch my Q&A. And I'm literally telling people, hey, I'm dismantling Danny's apartment and I put it in storage and I'm feeling sad and all the stuff. And then they waited till after I'd done that and then say, hey, you got to, by the way, they waited, like an old year and a half now. Hey, you happen to get a razor, like I'm walking around with Danny's razor in my pocket or something, so we can match the swabbing or whatever they got, that type deal. That's not police work. So what I'm saying is it reminds me of that. So again, yes, to answer the airbag question, no, I do not know the exact place, but you know what, I do know that the most likely the vehicle, according to my investigator, is a stage event. We have some that say, hey, the vehicle was brought back there once. And I want to tell you something about the accuracy of that Mile IQ app as well. It's not going to be down to the ladder. And I don't know. And I'm going to tell you guys, it's kind of strange to me a lot of times. it's not going to be down to the ladder, like the exact spot, right? But somehow, when I got that printout, it's saying exact spot stuff, right? And I thought that was kind of strange to me. We do have information that could lead to a trail outside of where that vehicle was found. Will be a more plausible place where this first initial thing could have happened, right? And then the vehicle was taken away from there and put back into that location because of the cell phone. So it's a lot. There's a lot with that. We're gonna put those information together, but the truth will always come out, you guys. It's just that it takes time. It takes time for those information to come out. Let's see here. Let's see. I'll make sure I'm not missing anything. Yeah, but we did search location based on 11 additional miles. I mean, this way out. We've been out on the other side of the aqueducts. Anybody know what that is? That's the canal that runs through that area. That runs all the way down to Phoenix. I mean, it's. But anyway, we searched a lot. It was a lot of searching. Now we couldn't get the line searches over that area, but we did other kind of searches. So we did a lot of searches out there. So yes. Let me see. If anybody have any question, I hope I don't miss your question. If you got a question, please put the question mark there, like Julia did here. Question mark, capital letter Q, the word question for your question. Are there any plans on scheduling a public search anytime soon again? Prayers always. Julia, I have, again, I talked to a lot of people, ask me that, and, and I can be honest. I can be very honest that it's places that need to be searched, right? And you'll say after, again, I'm explaining that after 50 weeks of desert searching, I didn't realize it was 50 weeks when I had went out with Joseph, Mr. Petito joined me in that last search I had. And, when I was standing there doing my safety briefing that I always do, that's when it dawned on me it had been 50 weeks. That was the 50th search, ironically. And even with all of that searching, we do it on the weekends, and I'm telling you, even sometimes the search is on weekdays. Just a few people who can do it on weekdays, but the public search was always on the weekend, every Saturday. And like I said, if you stand in one spot, let's say that where that vehicle was found or where the well site, and someone says which direction he walked away from the scene, right? You could turn slightly any direction, and then you can go in a straight line, and you have to search that area, right? And so it takes a lot. It takes a lot, but I can't say it's effective. It's effective for the desert when you don't have the kind of equipment that law enforcement had, could have used if they would have took Daniel's case seriously and utilized those equipments that they afforded, that their taxpayers' money that Daniel paid for as well. I paid for when I was living there as well, to search areas utilizing this equipment that they have, from infrared type deals with the drones and all this kind of stuff, right? Ground disturbances to temperatures and XYZ. If they would have did their job correctly the first time, they have that technology, they have that equipment. But when you're actually doing it like hands-on, like I'm doing on my searches, we don't have those equipment, so we have to do it hands-on. Hands-on is line searches. That's lines of people with our eyes and we're looking downward at a steady pace, a slow, steady pace, looking on the ground, looking for small things that, like I said, those equipment probably could have picked up from the air, right? But the ironicity to that is when you have dedicated people actually doing that, we found the human remains. I know how many human remains the law enforcement found when they claimed they did these searches out there looking for Daniel? 0. Know how many clothing items they found out there while searching for my son? They claimed they searched. 0. How many human skulls they found out there when it was out there claiming they're searching for my son? 0, but yet we found one close to where the vehicle was found. How many cases they solved for the Maricopa County while they was out there? 0. I did. I solved a case for Maricopa County, finding a stolen vehicle they've been looking for. How many? I can go on and on and on. Is what I'm saying. So when you're not actually out there looking because you can't you doing it for the sake to say, for the public to say, hey, you did something, but you're not doing it because you're passionate, and like the volunteers who have been out there with me for those 50 weeks of desert searches and really want to find Daniel, right? And so you can see the difference, because with the equipment or helicopter, whatever they claim they had, they found zero. But with people, normal everyday people without anything, with the little that we have, and I really thank the people who've been donating to get me up to where we at on the donations all those years of desert searching. We found people's human remains and brought closure for families and things like that. Like again, I solved the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office stolen vehicle case. They was looking for a vehicle, and so I can go on and on. But what I'm saying is, with those searches for me right now, it's hard. It's hard because it's a couple things. I barely had the search I had last year, April the 12th. That search was hard. And when I say hard, I think it was in October when I realized I needed to do that search. That search was based on a tip that I received. Well, I had the tip already because, I'm telling you something, you guys, things happen so fast. I'm doing all these interviews, doing this, that, blah, blah. It caught me really fast. It caught me really fast where I missed some things. I'm a human. I missed some things. Some tip came in, elderly couple. That search was based on that too, right? A tip that I had, eyewitness saw Daniel come out of a ravine in the same area where and this is hindsight before some information we know now. But this couple saw someone that's fitting Daniel's description come out of a ravine on the side of the road, saw his vehicle stick on the side of the road, and it matched the time of day with my investigator who says the first accident happened around 1 o'clock. So it's closer to that 1 o'clock. They was heading to the town of Buckeye from Surprise to go to a doctor's appointment. And the lady knew that she was really sharp on that because of the nature of that doctor's appointment. So those things was really credible based on her information and things. So that was based on that tip. But then the other part, like I said, was based on the tree. But at the same time, I wanted to see if Buckeye Police Department would come out and do something, right? And so I asked them in October before that year. I asked them in October of 2024. And that's when I found out I had a new detective on Dan's case. His name is Detective Justin Adams. He said, hey, yeah, I can come out there. I'm talk to Chief Sanders and see if, we come out good. So we already had that set. But he asked me the location and tried to ask me information. I'll be honest with you, I don't trust the Buckeye Police Department at the time. I was like, you know what? I'll let you know the exact location when it get close. Because I want to be there to see. Because the first thing they ever do, in my opinion, would have ran out there or don't go out there and all to say, oh, yeah, we already searched that. And they really didn't do it, right? And so that was my distrust. And so I saved that to them. I told them, I said, when I get there, I give you the location. Basically, just come out there and I give you the location. And so I had that set. And then also I had the Arizona Rangers, which I wanted so bad to try to figure out how to get volunteers over the other side of the Honsappa River. To this date, I still haven't got line search. And that's very important area to be line search because it's plausible where the vehicles found and that area over there where we call Pride Rock, where the mountain lions supposedly live. That area we definitely I need a line search in the area. And I know people say, oh, whatever mountain lion, that area is need to be searched fully, right? And so the thing is, I had the Arizona Rangers to go and do that much as they could. I've been out there several times on that mountain ridge where the mountain lion's supposed to live or whatever. And I searched with my daughter and I and a couple other people, but we only a couple of people, right? So you can't really do like what a line search can do, but they really need to be searched. So it's areas that need to be searched. But that search was based on that, is what I'm saying, based on those three things. And so I was able to put the search there, but it was hard. When I say it was hard, for me, it's hard funding. Funding is very hard. I think sometimes people look at GoFundMe, what I have right now, and they say, oh, look at all that number. They look at that number, but they don't realize that number is based. GoFundMe do not start it back over and say, every time you donate, go back to zero. No, it goes to, or as money has been utilized, it goes to what's been collected from day one since 2021. That's where we're at right now on the GoFundMe is based on what's been collected since 2021. And I can tell you guys, I have If you guys can look this up, you can Google, and I don't like bringing this up a lot, but if you Google Laundry, I think his name, the guy who the bad guy. I don't want to put it out like that, but I'll say it like this, the simple like this. To look for this man who turned out to be a murderer, law enforcement spent $1 million in 1 day. 1 day, 1 day looking for this person, right? And people's really upset about that tax dollars because he was a murderer, right? 1 day. But I'm saying what they could spend on looking for one person, right? In 1 day. But we somehow was able to do 50 weeks of desert searching, get out thousands of flyers. I was able to remain in Arizona. I'm using my retirement pay as well, but remain in Arizona, follow leads, pay for a private investigator, all that with $400,000, right? And so what I'm saying is over going on 5 years. And so if that's more responsible than what I feel that people's really upset when it comes to searching for a murderer, right? So those things is what I'm saying when it comes to trying to put a search together is hard because I'm a person who don't like to ask people for things, but I have to do it. So like life is all about funding and donations and things like that. Even running for office, and I'm doing, you always have to, campaigns can't run without without donations. Things that I have done cannot be funded without donation. I'm not a millionaire or something. I'm just a retired military guy. And so for me to do a search right now, it had to be very purposeful, very, very, very purposeful. Though I know there's areas that need to be searched. I said to myself when I was talking to Joseph, Mr. Petito, I was telling him how, if I do a search again, it had to be someone like the elderly couple, have to be something specific for me to say, hey, yes, I'm going to go out there again to search this, this area, and I'm asking for the public help. So, I don't want to just be asking people for things and we're gonna go out there. We search a great deal out there, a lot of land been covered. Like I said, there's still places that haven't been searched and need to be searched. When I was out there last year, I'll be honest with you, the hardest part for me was to see that development, the roads. They have actual roads out there now in some parts of that area that we used to search. That's why I was searching it so hard. They already told me it's going to break ground, and so I had some. At one point, I was concentrating my searches for a couple of weeks in that area to search really hard because I was afraid once they tear the ground up, something to get buried, basically. And when I was out there riding on the road itself to get to that well, that first well site, I think about it all the time. I say, what if they covered it up? What if we missed something? That's always been my worry. What if we missed something? Now it's paid, right? And so that's the kind of thing that bothers me. That bothers me a lot. But when it comes to, like I said, conducting a new search, I'm really hoping Danny's not out there. And if he's out there, I'm hoping that someone could give me some information that will say, yeah, you need to go search right over there, that area. And so when that happens, or if that happens, you hear me say, hey, you know what, you guys, I need to go in the desert. Can you please help me get out there in this desert? So, but right now, to answer that question, Julia, I don't have any plans currently, but that's the reason why. And it'd be the only reason I think right now that I would be trying to go back out there at this point. All right. I don't see any more. I do have a question here. Thanks so much, Kim. And thank you everybody else who joined in again. If you have a question, please put a question like Kim did here. A couple letter Q, the word question, the question mark before your question, because I'm coming down real quick and I want to try to grab everybody I can. Curious if Ken ever came out to help in the search. No. As far as I know, no. I have never seen him, and trust me, I'm out there. And it would be hard for me. I would never forget Ken's face. He's the first person that's, I was single parent father, right? And when my son went missing, and I heard the story from Ken from law enforcement, and I remember just driving on the road, and it just keep ringing in my head over and over again. I'm listening to this. Well, I'm saying when I say listen, I'm thinking about it over and over again. What law enforcement told me, right? Detective Cruz at the time, And I said, that just don't sound like my son. Like that just don't, not the son I know, not my little baby, that, I mean, I can give you a full story, but it don't sound like Daniel. Some things that he said, especially with this Tempe thing, and he's so tired, and he's looking in his eyes to see if his eye dilated, and all kind of crazy mess. Ken was talking, and I say this, just don't. My son was that tired, he wouldn't have came at all. Trust me, and so it's some things just didn't add up, right? So on that road and that travel, the first thing I needed to do was see Ken. I had to see my daughter first too. I had to get my daughter, and she and I was going around because she knew Daniel's vehicle, and I needed her to help me, because at the end of the day, still we had to do due diligence, right? Though we know Daniel's pattern, this things that's not right, is he breaking all kind of patterns and things. I know Daniel, and so when you have that knowledge, you still have to go do your due diligence and make sure he didn't alter that himself. And and we say, oh, he's missing, and he just took off and shot off in another country somewhere or something. I don't know. And so we was able to go around the airports, and that's what we did first. But the first thing I was doing is reaching out to Daniel's job and trying to get information about Ken. They had that information, and they set it up for me to meet Ken on, and it's ironically exactly how Daniel met him. I'm gonna tell you that story real quick, because I want to jump on the next question. But the real quick story to that, because that made me think about this. When I met Ken for the first time, to answer your question real quick, though, no, as far as I know, he never came to Searchers. But when I met him for the first time, I met him on the side of Sun Valley Parkway, the same way Daniel did, right on that shoulder of the road at that gate, right? But before I met him right there at that gate, I pull up with my daughter and someone else in the vehicle, and we was waiting on him. I called Matrix New World and say, hey, let him know that we made it, because I didn't have his number. It's like I tell them, they tell him basic stuff. Got there, he wasn't there. We make sure we was at the right gate, according to how they gave us direction. And I called him and said, hey, I'm at this gate. You let Ken know I'm here. So I'm sure Matrix New World called him. And a little while later, I say about a good 10, 15 minutes later, we saw dust flying in the air from the desert, meaning somebody was riding down a trail or something. And it got closer and closer, and we saw a white pickup truck. White pickup truck came towards the gate, but then he backed up and turned his vehicle around with his tail end facing the gate, right? And then he got out, real big heavy set guy, got out of the vehicle. We still sitting, and I'm telling you about my vehicle. People know, if you're here in Columbia, you know my vehicle. Heavy tint. I got heavy tint. You will not be able to see me in my vehicle, of course. Windshield, all that tinted, right? 5%. Not front windshield, but front windshield have a little lighter tint, but the rest of it 5%. You will not be able to see me from the front, back, whatever. So this person who got out the vehicle, and was like, we were just sitting there for a while to make sure. When he got out the vehicle, he came to the vehicle, tried to look through the side glass. He tried to look through the windshield. Of course, he couldn't see us. And I got out the vehicle, and I said, hey, how you doing, Ken? He said, I'm not Ken, right? And then I asked, okay, where's Ken? And he said, he didn't answer that question. He just literally say, what do you want with Ken, right? And I said, hey, I'm the father of Daniel Robinson. I'm just coming to talk to Ken. He said he was the last person to see my son. Just basically want to hear what he have to say. Basically, that's it, right? And he said, what else do you basically ask me again what I want with Ken? I said, well, that's it. Just want to see what information I can get. I'm looking for my son, basically, right? And so he said, okay, well, I'll take you to Ken. Okay. I said, well, where is he? He said he's at the well site. I said, how far is that? He said, oh, it's about a good 20, 30 miles or something like that. And I'm like, 20, 30 miles, And in my mind, because that desert, you can stand there and that shoulder road, and it's like it goes on forever. 20, 30 miles away from this point, and get in your vehicle to go with you to somewhere. I said, and I'm not leaving my daughter here and this young lady here in this, no, that's not going to happen. He was really insisting on me going. He opened his door, pickup truck door, and he had some paper, some food trays all on his passenger side. He was knocking it all on the floorboard and said, come on, I'll take you there. I'm like, no. I said, no. I said, I'm not going to do that. And so he said, okay. And so he got on his phone to call Ken. He said he's going to call Ken, got on his phone. He sat in the seat, driver's seat. I'm sure the phone rang, and then he said, Ken, and he started talking. Then he said, wait a minute. And then he shut his door, pulled the vehicle forward first, right, out of earshot. And they had a little conversation they had, whatever they had to do. And then from that point, he backed the vehicle back up again, got out and said, oh, Ken is on the way. It was the strangest thing in the world, right? And so it was so suspect in a way. And then when he left, about a good another 15 minutes or so, we saw the dust again coming up out of the desert. And sure enough, it was a white pickup truck. He didn't turn around this time, but it was obviously Ken. He got the vehicle. The first thing he did, he had a utility truck. The first thing he did is open that door. He opened up the side compartment of his utility door and stood there with his hand in there, right? And being a military guy, I'm trained to watch your hands, right? And so his posture was, he was ready to do something, right? Or defend himself, or he was in that defensive posture. And so I was watching him, and because his hand went inside that compartment, he left it in there like he was holding on to a gun or something, some form of weapon or something, right? And so he said, who are you? What you need? I said, hey, I'm Daniel Ross' father again. Hey, here, have my little tablet. I said, I'm here to, ask you some questions about what you know about Daniel. I was told that you was the last one seen him, blah, blah, blah. So I had my pen and my pad ready to, get some stuff. I guess once he saw that I wasn't a threat, or I something, I could see his shoulders kind of come down a little bit. He took his hand out the door and he shut it, and then he walked towards me. And then we had our conversation. So what I can say about Ken, to even when I talked to him, he expressed like he was so concerned, right? And that's when he told me the other alternate story that I also shared with law enforcement. They refused to put in a police report and utilize, which makes sense to what their narrative is. But he seemed so like he was so concerned. But like I said, haven't been to a search, haven't did much anything that I know of, right? And so like I said, in my searches, we are all family there. I can tell you, when I say we're family, we are family. I make it a point to talk to the volunteers that's there. If you're there in the searches, you know what I'm talking about. We all a family there. Anytime I have searches, and so I make it a point to talk to people who come out to help me and rescue my son, and who comes out to show love for a stranger. I'm a stranger, and spend your gas money and things like that. So yeah, of course, that's important to me. So I haven't seen Ken out there ever. So, okay, I do have a question from Tracy. Thanks so much, Tracy. And I don't have any on Instagram yet that I see. The question here, have Ken or Billy been talked with or looked at again? From my point of view, yes. From my side of the investigation, it's 3 parts of the investigation. Well, 4 parts of the investigation. You got, I don't even know what to really call it an investigation, but the Buckeye Police Department claim investigation. I have my own personal investigation that I'm doing myself. My private investigator that I hired, he's investigating. And then also had another private investigator who's doing investigating on a different level, which turned out on his end, without anything. But he does some other stuff. But the way his work was, it's not an investigator that I was going to put out in the public. I'll just put it that way. And so I had a lot of work done when it comes to investigating. And my opinion is, when I looked at, we already talked about Ken, but when I talked to Billy, he came to out the searches. I'm gonna tell you something, you guys, for those who have missed loved ones or anything going on in your family. A lot of times people who are suspect and have done or have involvements with things that are going on, like missing person, they'll show up to things like searches to see what you know. They'll show up to this Q&A to see what I know or what I, those type things, right? So those things will be expected. But I'm not saying that necessarily saying, I say he's a suspect. All of them are suspect. Ken is a suspect to me. Billy's a suspect to me. What I'm saying is, when Billy came up to the searches, I was out of the search. I'll never forget. I was taking my quad, not quad, but UTV off the trailer, and my then search coordinator came to me and said, "Hey, Dave, this guy say he's seen your son," basically. and he's a federal law enforcement officer. And he came up and he said, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Billy. You know, I don't know if he put his name in the public yet, but that's why I'm, you know, not want to say his last name just yet, but I think it's already public. But if I see it in the chats, then I know it's public. But the thing is, Billy came up and he introduced himself, and he had a badge, a golden badge, and he says, "Hey, I'm a federal law enforcement officer," and you know, he started telling me how he see my son last, right? And he said, "Hey, basically, you know, he was out target practice with his children." And you know, he told me it was around 1 o'clock that day. He saw him on the other side of the Hassayampa River, and from a distance. And the way he said it, you know, put me on a different level. Being a military guy, we're taught to not orient your weapon, you know, towards anyone. You know, we're really careful where we're pointing, right? And so he said he saw my son through the scope of his rifle on the other side of his vehicle, from the other side of the Hassayampa River. And I'm like, "You're using a rifle to look at a vehicle?" And so, and it was that. And then he said later on, he saw him again by the Wagner Wash, on the side of the on the banks of the Wagner Wash with his vehicle, and he seemed to appear to be cleaning out his vehicle because his driver's door was open, he said, and he was kind of digging in the vehicle, and he walked up to him to say something to him, and seeing that, he said Dan was real polite, and he's talking to him really friendly, and he was really nice, and to him and his children. And he said, you know, he was asking Daniel, "Is this a good place to target practice, right? To do target practice and things like that?" And he said Daniel told him, "No, you know, we work in this area. You need to go over there. That's where they target practice at, right?" And so that was his assessment at that time. When he was telling me all of that, I sent him to my private investigator because, you know, that's his job. He was there at that search. I said, you know, you go to him. My investigator did confirm to me that he was a federal law enforcement officer. He was wrong. He said, "Oh yeah, he's a federal law enforcement officer." I even said it in my family press conference and believed it. You know, from a novice standpoint, I believed all of that until it's Shiro's Nation is her name. She's I don't know if she's on here tonight or not, but she's a podcaster as well who was happening to listen to Q&A one day, and she says to me, "Well, Mr. Robinson, how do your son can give him direction where to target practice when that was his first time ever being in the Sonoran Desert, ever been out there? He never been out there before, so how would he know that?" And that dawned on me. So she was right. I was like, well, that is true. How he would know that when he has never been? Excuse me, everyone. How would he know where to send him to target practice? And so those things, that's when they started ringing alarms to me. Also, the fact that some reason, I tell you like this, when I'm leaving that desert out there, I won't say the last man standing, that's the word I like to use. I'm the last person to leave the desert. And the reason why I do that is because I want to make sure every one of y'all family members that come out there to my searches are going home to their family safe, right? And so in my searches, we always, the team and I will hang out, and then I end up hanging out after the team, right? And sometimes I do that because I'd like to go out there and see if I can feel Daniel, right? And so I remember, you know, Billy, some reason for 2 searches back to back, he kind of hanged out late, and he kind of gave me the quingies because he said he's a federal law enforcement officer, but he was driving this really old, raggedy vehicle. Not saying judgmental about people, but he didn't fit one, and then he was coughing like he had something going on with him. I really wasn't really sure, but it just gave me a feeling like something didn't just match with him. Law enforcement, him. It didn't match, and I said, well, maybe he's some type of undercover guy type deal, whatever. But long story short, we found later that he had some extensive things going on with his own personal life. He and I used to talk on the phone to, you know, and I do this because I needed to get information, but I had a podcaster, I don't know his name, and I'm not gonna put it out there, who really messed things up. And at the time I was really, I know a lot of things I've been doing is really public. And so when I was kind of talking to Billy to get information, much information I can, that came to a halt because of one person who was out there, a podcaster who put Billy's information out to the public about his life and all of that. It just screwed everything up for what we was doing in the background. It has really messed things up. And so right now to date was really harmed by that, right? Not getting the information we could have gotten because I was really close to getting something from Billy. He couldn't get, some reason he wanted to talk to Buckeye Police Department, he says, and they was ignoring him for a good long time. And then eventually he called me and said, hey, yeah, they wanted to finally interview me. But as soon as after that happened, like I said, this guy did what he did on social media. And at the same time, once he talked to Buckeye, he disappeared. All that kind of disappeared away. I couldn't get anything from that point. So what I can say, yeah, he's also always going to be a suspect to me, meaning that it don't match his story. And then he's changed the story as well. He said 1 o'clock when he seen Daniel through the scope of his rifle around 1 o'clock. Once he got wind of that, that's when that first accident's supposed to happen around 1 o'clock from a private investigator. He changed it to like 9 o'clock in that morning or something to that effect, something way before. So all this changing the stories, and law enforcement didn't see much. And when I talked to law enforcement about it, once they interviewed him, they say, oh, it was nothing there, nothing to see with Billy, basically. Not even the fact of him personating a law enforcement officer with the badge was no big deal to the Buckeye Police Department. And so those things, including the fact that I had death threats around that I had to report to the FBI, and none of them, the FBI or law enforcement, saw a reason to investigate that. So those type things. So really, those things were, in this case with Daniel, a lot of things have been selectively investigated for a reason. And I really say, again, that's what always gave us the suspicion that law enforcement was in some form of cover-up when it comes to Daniel's case, because of their actions and the things they do. Their selectiveness on when it comes to what they put in the public, what they say, what they go look for, and all this kind of stuff. I do want to say something. I see a comment that is on Instagram, and Christine, thanks so much. Thinking about Daniel, you and the rest of your family every day. Love and prayers from California. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. God bless you. Thanks so much for those prayers. We definitely need those. And I have a question here, Chrism. Thanks so much for your question. Do you think it's possible that Daniel was taken from that location and may not ever be in the desert? And those things always cross my mind. And I would say, I always lean towards Daniel was never out there in the first place, right? I always lean towards that because everything that's being given to us as a family, it doesn't match. Everything seemed like conveniently placed to fit a story. Because one day, if I can ever do this and I put all those things, the reason why I say that together, then you all can see what I really mean. Sometimes I say Arizona is a strange place, and everybody somehow connected to each other. I mean, it's crazy to me, right? And so when I say this, I'm not even playing when I say this. A lot of people that I had to deal with on that side, whether they're investigators to law enforcement to FBI agents to you name it, they all somehow seem to have, they're connected together in certain aspects, right? And that's through my own personal investigation. And so when you say that, I always feel that it's ironically that these things, like even the Mile IQ, it magically disappears everything before June the 23rd, 2021, and it's pick up and then place something in a certain spot, right? That's Mile IQ. Then his cell phone, when I got it back from law enforcement, Detective Biffle said he took it from the scene and put it in his back pocket, and then they cloned it, and then he gave it to me, right? I'm saying I just never turned that phone on they gave that phone to me, and I had it on before to get the stuff off of there. Like I got those that pictures and stuff from it. It was missing the memory card out of there. It's missing Daniel's search histories to location. Like we look at Google things up there, and all that was erased off. Right. I was able to get the Google stuff back. A lot of it, and his he did Instacart. His Instacart account, those things were deleted. Anything before that date or on that date was gone. Right? I mean, it is like purposely. Everything about Caitlin, the girl, was gone. Text message between them, whatever. If law enforcement, and then I'm gonna tell you the crazy part. I'm gonna back up in a minute, but about Caitlin, but that was gone except for her name and her phone number was still on the phone. But every conversation they had, the phone log, everything with her, just her, was erased. My call, her call log with my number, his family, so I can tell you everybody he called right down the line, and it goes consistent with the phone record. But everything to her has been erased out of there. But then Buckeye claimed, this is a couple things they say. This vehicle was found 28 days after Daniel went missing, right? And when they found the vehicle, they also had a cell phone, right? 28 days, 30 days is permanently deleted out the trash. The day after they end up giving me that vehicle and everything, then I had a meeting. They gave me the phone, right? And then they claimed they went into the trash folder. And I'll tell you, when I got a phone, I went in the trash folder too. It was zero thing there, right? But they went in the trash folder and got all this information out there that says XYZ, to match Caitlin's story, I guess they could say. But they have failed to tell you guys, this is what they say on their record, but if you get Daniel, which I still have, and I'm going to expose this to the public too and show you the corruption of the Buckeye Police Department as well. Her text messages don't totally match the phone record, the physical phone record that you get from the phone company, right? The timestamps and all that don't physically match. But they went with that story anyway. They let the lady upload her own information to that system they have, right? Evidence ID or whatever, evidence.com, whatever they got. So that's problematic too. But when it comes to that location for, again, Daniel ever been out there, it's a lot of things about this whole story that don't fit. The other part is the strangest part about, like I said, everything fitting together to draw a narrative. For me, I'm a wise person and I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I'm pretty sharp, right? When I know people, I've been trained to watch people, military, but I'm intuitive in the way I like to watch body language with people and stuff too, right? That is me, right? Because I pay attention to people. I like to pay attention to people. I care about people, so of course it's natural, right? So I can kind of tell when something's wrong with people and things like that. So when I met Chief Hall in that meeting, we had things didn't go well. They promised things, whatever. I can go through that, but I'm not. But the thing that stuck with me the day after that, the weekend after that meeting, I still didn't stop my searches. I still had the search going. And I told you guys this before. The guy who was working with me at the time as a search coordinator, I had to end up letting him go eventually because he was working with the Buckeye Police. For whatever reason, he saw the fact that he needed a scanner. I don't know why he needed one, but I know he was giving Buckeye information and everything I was doing out in the desert for whatever reason. And so to make a long story, he came, called me one day. This is the first time I remember at this point, my daughters just come to searches. We didn't know. They never showed us the location where the vehicle was found, right? Ever. Nobody, I didn't know where it was located. My daughter didn't know. My family, we didn't know. But after that search, on Wednesdays, we always plan. We look at the grid map and I say, hey, this is what I want to search now. XYZ, this is what's going to happen. We're going to go this, that, blah, blah. And my search coordinator, he helps organize that to get people to locations. We have a logistics coordinator who helps with the food, with the beverages and things that people may need and all this kind of other stuff, right? And so everything's planned out. I was on the way to search that morning. When I got to almost near the area up to Buckeye, I got a phone call from my search coordinator, and he was saying, hey, David, you know what? I found a place out in the desert where volunteers, because at that point we was also parked on the side of the road and a little dirt road or whatever, side dirt road. He said, I got a place that's a lot more open. You get more cars into there because at that time sometimes we have 200 people at the search. We get more people in the area, et cetera, right? I said, okay, great. Where is the place? They say, oh, yeah, I got somebody already waiting on you because they live in all them guys. They live up in Buckeye, right? So yeah, they waiting on you. They're gonna show you where is that, right? So I get there, And they showed us where this location is. And he was right. When I got there, I'm like, wow, it's wide open. We called it the quarry. To this day, we call it the quarry area. And so we started a park down there. People's following. We all get down there to the quarry area. And I'm waiting on my search coordinator. He was late. He never late, but he was late this time. Like I say, he lived in Buckeye, so he should be there for me. I had to come from Phoenix. And so I saw his vehicle in the distance over the sunrise, showing up into the area. But he had a vehicle that's marked just like his. But he drives around in this vehicle like a police vehicle for that reason. Some people say he wanted to be a police officer to that fast, but two of them. And the second vehicle was Chief Hall. I didn't know at the time. He hopped out the vehicle. He walked past me and my daughter, almost like brushed us a little bit. Said, "Hey, how you doing, Mr. Robinson?" Kept going. My daughter and I looked at each other like, "Okay, what's this all about?" And he started yelling out real loud, say, "Hey, everybody, y'all!" To the people that was there. Y'all want to know where this vehicle was found? And of course, they was like, "Yeah." People that's there concerned about Daniel. And me and my daughter looked at each other. Okay, why is he doing this? And why they haven't showed us where the vehicle? Of course, we want to know too. Where it was found. And so he said, "Yeah, come follow me." And people started getting ready to try to run to their vehicles. And he said, "No, you don't need your vehicles, right over this hill." And I was like, well, how ironic is that? We right here, and there's the hill's right there in front of our face, right over the other side of this hill. We look at my daughter, look at each other like, okay, this is crazy. So we following him like he's Moses, like I always like to use. He's like Moses leading the children of Israel to the promised land. And we walking behind Chief Hall. He made it to the area, and then he stayed up there on this peak and looked down this ravine, this deep ravine. He said, "The vehicle was found right down in there." And he said, "I know because I was here and I seen it myself and blah, 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 and so on and so on." And he started going off about the cartels for whatever reason. Oh, the cartels in this area and bad, and they fly their planes at night and they land on Sun Valley Parkway and they drop their drugs and go back to Mexico and all this kind of crazy stuff. He was talking, right? This grandstanding. And so while he was doing that, my daughter tapped me on my shoulder. "Dad, some guy want to speak to you." It turned out to be the rancher and his wife. Went to go see him, talk to him, and say, "Hey, Mr. Robinson," he explains who he was, his wife. And he said, then he looked over towards Chief Hall and he said, "I don't know why Chief Hall telling y'all that the vehicle's found right down here." Right? He pointed down this other ravine. And sure enough, he's right. And the reason why I knew, because when I was up there with Chief Hall, I looked at that ravine he was speaking, and I remember in my mind, because trust me, you guys, when you got a missing child, you remember every little detail, probably a grain of dirt or something. And that picture did not match what Chief Hall was pointing at, but when that rancher pointed down this ravine, I noticed that burnt stump, and I saw the glass on the ground. I was like, "Yep, that is it," right? And sure enough, when Chief Hall heard him say that, Chief Hall stopped immediately. I mean, like he turned red in the face, like he was on mute or something, and walked past everybody and walked over that hill back to his vehicle, I'm assuming, to never, ever, to this date, 2026, to ever come to my searches ever again. So to make a long story with that, when I went home during that time, I was still in the hotel. I didn't have a one-bedroom apartment. I was living out of the hotel. And I went back to that hotel and I sat there that night. It was kept playing over and over in my head. I play everything, every detail in my head over and over again. And the thing that was in my head the most was that when I was listening to Chief Hall over and over again in my mind, it's like this man was selling me a story. He was selling me the story. "I need you to believe this vehicle's found here. This vehicle was here. It was here. I need you to believe this." And the strangest thing to me about the whole scenario is also that was the first and only time I seen the rancher there as well. And so, but the thing is though, that story to me was told to me and sold to me to make it credible, believe that that vehicle was there. It was there for whatever reason. I need you to really believe that this vehicle was found in this ravine. And that was the first place and the only place it was at. I need to sell the story to you. Because then right after that, that's when they was really pushing hard this hard hat theory. Didn't hear hard hat for a while until I was on Q&A talking about some stuff, and they say, "Oh yeah, it was there for 30 days because the hard hat had water in it, something, rainwater." And you guys, I know I destroyed that theory with evidence of science. I'm a science guy, and also a directional guy. You use common sense. With one windshield, one glass broken out that vehicle on the driver's side, and then the opening on the sunroof in the location where this hard hat supposedly have been, it's impossible for rainwater to fill that up without even filling the car up with water, basically, if there's so much rain like that. But anyway, long story short, not filling the car, but a puddle in the car is what I'm saying, in those low areas, like a cup, right? If it didn't evaporate at a hard hat, it wouldn't evaporate from the vehicle either. So dismiss a lot of that. But anyway, that's answer your question, I hope. Let's see, I have any more questions? If not, I'm going to jump off this Q&A. I'm sorry if you have any comments, everybody. I'm really just looking for the questions. And I apologize. And we'll be doing this again. I do this every Friday, so I'll be back if you have more questions. You can ask then. I'm trying to do it every Friday. I'm doing it next Friday, but then after that, I'll be traveling a lot, doing some movement, so I'll probably miss that Friday after that. But I'll do this every Friday. So if you have any more questions, please come back. Question: who's the person that said he painted red on the rocks or something like? I recall. Yeah, that was Ken Elliott. He told me that personally. He told me when he told me the story, like I said, the alternate story that he didn't tell Buckeye, and I shared it with Buckeye, and I wrote those notes down, and I had witnesses there. I should have heard him say this as well. But yeah, he was saying he's staying left of the tracks, and he followed the tracks to when he got to the T-junction, because he stayed left the tracks, not to disturb them, because law enforcement will come, and this thing is gonna go national, right? And so he stayed left the tracks, not disturbing. When we made it to the T-junction, he said he knows that the tracks went out to the right to west, went out west into the desert. So he followed that till he got to the gate. When he got to this wooden gate, he opened the gate. He went through the gate and he drove another mile or so till he came to an open area, the same open area I'm telling you guys about when my search coordinator took me to the first time. He came to an open area, because when you listen to that story, it'll take you right there what I'm talking about. Came to an open area, and then he said he went on top of a hill of a higher area to see if he could see Daniel from afar. Then he said he took red paint and started spraying rocks with red spray paint so law enforcement can know where to come look. Exactly what he said. So if you follow that story verbatim, because I say, okay, when he got on this high elevation he was talking about to look out far, if you look in that area where the open area is, it's like, okay, where he was standing on. So now I'm thinking about it right here. He may be talking about the hill where the vehicle was found on the other side over there. So now I'm spraying with red paint so law enforcement can know to come over here to find this vehicle. I'm adding that part, but I'm saying is that's what the story can lead to, is what I'm saying, what makes sense to me. But when you put it to law enforcement, Buckeye, police department, they dismiss it. They don't want to hear it because it don't fit their narrative. Their narrative at first was to paint my son, who's a brilliant scientist, very stable young man. I can tell you guys have a lot of friends. If you met him, you'll love him. Very intelligent. He just so happened to, and I'm a computer engineer major, but he came to me, and that's what I'm thinking about the days before he went missing, a couple days before he went missing, 2 days before. He and I was talking about his computer, because what he's doing. He's building his own computer for work and things. It doesn't sound like a person who's ready to disappear. Building his computer, and then the 2 days before he went missing, he's proud of that work he did. He put some, me and him talk about RAM, how much RAM he need to put in there, and all this kind of stuff, this computer stuff. And he did it. He did it himself. He's very proud. And so what I'm saying is, we use those kind of thinking, saying this stuff that, but anyway, law enforcement want to put him off as some type of depressed person, and they put it in the report where his co-workers with an S, and I got on their behind about that. They use plurals. All the co-workers with an S, and I'm telling you, the part that really irks me with that is that Daniel is a field geologist, hydrogeologist, but he also is a field geologist. Major New World hired field geologists, meaning they work in the field. They don't work in the office. When you talk to Major New World, and I have meetings with them many times, board meetings with them, they rarely see their field geologists, rarely. So they'll have a relationship where they see them all the time. Or there's not an office and say, oh, he was acting strange and all the stuff. That's crazy. It's ludicrous. It's crazy. And so that's one thing. But one person I did not could say would not be able to say that. And his name is Roger. He's one of Dane's friends, on the job, off the job friend, right? And so and he actually lived with him before. So the thing is, that person can say something like that, and I can hold on to it somewhat, right? But those other, when they use plurals, that was sensationalizing Daniel Case, make him look like he's unstable. They also painted this Caitlyn thing as he's unstable, even to the point of threatening. Had me concerned, because I'm a father. I'm a girl dad. I'm a girl dad. I have daughters, and of course, I would not let any man, not even my own sons, harm any young ladies or any woman. Period. And so, what I'm saying, when I heard certain things, of course, I'm gonna be on the fence of young lady, because my men, my sons, won't perform or act that way, right? And so when I hear those stories, there's another thing that rings to my head, that that's not Daniel's character. I can see him reaching out to somebody he like or something to that effect, but not in the way they try to paint it, like he was a stalker, or he was in love and all the stuff. And then they lied about me, and they still kept that in the report. The father said he was in love with a woman he didn't know. I never said that. Daniel never even told me he was in love. He never used the word love when it came to Caitlyn. But the thing was, and I'm the last one to talk to him other than his mother. And so the point is I'm making is the sensationalizing of Daniel's case to paint him as almost like the villain. He's not the victim. He's the villain, or the person who's not needs saving. The Caitlyn need the saving, or this person need the saving, but he's missing, right? And so it often happens all the time, and I had to do everything I can to combat that first with law enforcement. Then they put me, when a vehicle showed up, to say, hey, maybe he joined a monastery. Maybe he just want to be away from his family and join a monastery to become a monk. Because it's hard to believe that we have a loving family where we are very close to each other, which we are, and we love each other. We really love. My children love each other so much that they share passwords and things like that. And so what I'm saying is, the point I'm making is, we're different. So if there's some stereotypical things that the Buckeye had in their head, and they want to just paint these narratives and these pictures there for our family, I had to just do what I can. You guys don't know what the hell I've been through when it comes to law enforcement, fighting, combating public opinion, the things that law enforcement try to put out there, and at the same time try to search for my son, try to keep a level head to conduct the search. I never organized a thing in my life until I did these searches, and organized a search and push Daniel's story really hard for 3 months to become national. I know some people try to contribute it to the Petito case, but nobody been out there for every night when I'm out there working late at night, pushing Daniel's story on social media and everywhere else, and to get it on a level to become national. That took hard work. That took 1 to 2 hours of sleep at night, So nobody talks about that. They only try to contribute that to somebody else's story. So what I'm saying is, there's a lot of things I had to deal with when it comes to my son's case, and fighting for him and advocating for him and being his justice and being his dad, and also trying to be an investigator and fighting things like that. So there's a lot to come along with that. So when I hear this red transfer paint and law enforcement not taking that seriously, when I say the spray paint, the red paint, he said this before. Now he said this. He said this before the vehicle actually showed up. So he doing this, and then so happened my investigator find red transfer paint on the vehicle. Why is that not a serious thing for law enforcement to say, hey, we're gonna find out where this red transfer paint came from, right? They never did, because they didn't care. But then you got the FBI and these I'm pro police too, but you got these super pro police people that come on my chats and come on social media, and they pro police that say, oh, Buckeye did a good job because they wrote it on a piece of paper, right, called a police report. But in reality, on the ground, half of that police report is bogus and is fraud. That department, if you guys can look it up yourself, the chief of police got suspended for their fraud, for falsifying documents. So what I'm saying is, a lot of times law enforcement, there's a lot of good ones out there, but there are also some that will cover their behinds, and they'll write anything, because you know what? When it comes to public opinion, most people say, well, they're law enforcement. I believe them. He's a man that's looking for his son. I don't really believe that. But the actions on the ground was totally different, and I'm sure they don't like me because I'm a person that's fight. I'm not the dad that just left that day when they gave me everything to say, hey, look, we have nothing else. We have no more leads, is what they told me. They gave me everything. That's why how you guys think I had the vehicle and everything. They literally gave me everything before I got my private investigator. They gave me everything. I didn't know what to do with the stuff. I didn't know what to do with it at all. They gave me everything, vehicle, all that, and pretty much said, "You ain't got nothing else to do. Take your behind back to South Carolina. It's over." But I'm persistent. I pushed it. I got it on the national stage. I have you guys have backed me, writing phone calls, you name it. Put that pressure. Had CNN come on the desert, Dateline, this, that. When that happened, they all said, "Oh, we still investigating. We still investigating." Right? That's not good police work. If I haven't pushed the way I did, you guys, y'all would have never ever heard of Daniel Robinson. Trust me, you wouldn't have done it. It's 600,000 Americans out there that go missing every year, and we don't hear all their stories. Trust me, you would not have heard of Daniel Robinson if I didn't keep pushing. So, again, I have, let me see. You say, Barbara, thanks so much. You say, C, I don't know what it means, but I think it's the police in Arizona have been under the microscope for a long time, and I'm sure they did. I know when I first got to Arizona, Phoenix Police Department had the Justice Department to come in because of the George Floyd thing. We had, and let me tell you the crazy part about this twist of that. They had the Phoenix and also the Buckeye Police Department was got caught harassing people who showed up to these protests. My son was one of them. He was in the protest. He was in George Floyd protest. Protest is something he believed in, police brutality, you name it. So he's an advocate too as well. And I'm proud of him on that because I remember when he was out there. I'm sitting here right here where I'm at now, and I'm talking to him on the phone. I'm talking to Danny on the phone. He said, "Dad, guess where I'm at?" I'm like, "Where are you?" He said, "I'm at the protest," and I hear the people in the background, yeah, whatever. And I got a little jealous, like, man, I wish I was there with you, because that's the kind of person I am too. I believe in standing up for what's right and what I feel is right. And so he was there, and he even got interviewed with one of the local channels. You guys, I got the pictures of that. I put it on here all the time. But they were actually harassing, calling them gang members. Can you imagine they calling my son, for instance, who's out there, gang members? Calling them gang members now. My son don't know what a gang is really, by name, but gang members. Now, come from a great home, got a father, have a mother, but he a gang member, right? That's what they're labeling all the people that was at the protest. And they was coming up to their houses, harassing them, and the Justice Department had to come in and stop all of that, right? To make a long story, because there's a lot of civil rights violations going on with the department. So make a long story, yeah, there's some stuff that's going on in Arizona when I showed up there. Also the fact that I found out that the Buckeye area, certain areas in Buckeye, is sundown areas. I was told, hey, get your family out of here before it turned dark, and I'm glad I did because I've been called some names. My daughter sat in the vehicle at the right time in broad daylight on pickup trucks, guys riding past. So, it's out there. Things out there. And I'm living in the South, and I never had that happen to me. So, not when I say like that openly I had it happen, crazy stuff happen, but not like that, brazen in the sun, bright, probably like noon in the day, sun bright. They hanging out the window, no shame of saying it loud the way they want to do it. That type thing, not passively, just really purposefully, that was different for me. And I'm from the South. Let's see here. All right, question here is the same red paint that was on Daniel's is this the same red paint that was on Daniel's Jeep? We don't know. And that's what I was saying. I was making that point that when we found the red transfer paint, I wanted those things tested, and law enforcement would not do it. And my hands been tied on a lot. I got really desperate, and I asked everyone to donate to help me. And I did only work on the cell phone, but I wanted to do all this, especially when the vehicle finally showed up. I wanted to get investigations on forensic work, everything that happened at that crash site or whatever. I wanted forensic work done. Law enforcement to this day haven't done it, and I was doing it myself. But then I learned as I was going on, I learned a lot. I learned so much that I was going to get a private investigator's license. I was going to apply for that, right? Because I was doing my own investigation. And so I learned a lot about how to deal with evidence and things like that. Things families shouldn't never have to worry about, right? Police stuff. And so once I learned about chain of custody and things like that, how it can harm Daniel's case, for me to go an outside lab and get these things done, how it can hurt his case if someone came up and threw up a flag and said, yes, I did something to him. Any defensive person can get that person off because they say if the evidence been tampered with. Oh, that father could have did that, or whatever the case may have been, And so those things were really problematic and had to make me reassess and readjust what I would do with those evidence, those things that I had in my possession that law enforcement just so easily just gave up because they didn't care, right? So that's what it is. So I don't, to this day, I don't know what that, and we would never know, I'm sure, because Buckeye, I'm not even sure they even went to get the vehicle like they said it was going to do, and that vehicle probably is gone forever, as far as I know. And so, so the point is, I'm saying is, I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever have that answer to that. And I think this is it, you guys. And thank you so much for that last comment, Baby Doll. I really appreciate it. And I hope he would be, oh yeah. And I want you all, and I wish I could have played that here. I wonder if I could play it here. I'm gonna try something real quick here. Let me see if I can do this real quick. Everybody can hold on with me. And I'm really proud of this because you know what? It touched my heart because it's always that, when I'm in my lowest point, I tell you guys over the holiday, if I can if y'all can hang in with me just a little while longer, I'm just going to say this, and there's no more questions. I'll do some more questions next week, but I want to say this, the truth about my life personally, right? I am a person who have been dealing with war experience, right? I mean, when I say I came back from combat, I'm a combat engineer. I'm a gunner. I sustained injuries from IED blast. Make a long story, that ended my career with the military. But I'm dealing with things that happen when I say my family, my military family, while we're deployed, right? And so with Daniel going missing, that complicated a lot of stuff. It complicated a lot, right? So, but it also gave me room to deal more with Daniel, and it kind of gave me strength because I'm fighting for my son, right? So it put everything that was ailing me personally behind, right? And so my focus was on Daniel the whole time, and I had to actually literally, when I say this, guys, when y'all hear, it's not a word, it's not just something to be saying, it's true. When I was riding that 2,000 miles to get to Arizona, I had to make it a mission in my mind. You see this hat right here, combat engineer? I had to put it in my mind that I'm doing what we would do when I was out there deployed, right? Put the mission first. Daniel became my mission. That means that kept me keep my mentality straight, keep my head level. I had to be on the mission. I had to be sharp, right? That's why you guys don't see me over here crying and things like that, because you ought to see his mother's a crying mess, and it's rightful so. She's a mother, right? And so I know that you can be ineffective when you're really emotional, right? So you won't be thinking so clearly and things like that. Because I tell you right now, just even trying to be clear-minded, I got taken advantage a lot. I got taken advantage by $21,000 at one point, $12,000 at another point, $10,000 at another point. And I can tell you these stories you guys wouldn't even believe. But what I'm saying is, and that's doing the search for my son, right? And so, just the fact of just trying to level all of that thing, level everything out when it comes to searching for your missing loved one, being that focused and trying to do all that, and then dealing with other things personally, right? So what I'm saying is, if I had my way, my idea would have been if Daniel didn't go missing. He know this. We already had plans. Before Daniel went missing, we had plans that I was going to be in Arizona. I'm not a desert person, so he was trying his best. I'm telling you guys, for whatever reason, Daniel just loved Arizona, and he was every time I talk to him, we and him got in kind of almost an argument. I never forget this. A little before he went missing, we kind of almost got in an argument about trees. Can you believe that, trees? He could tell me Arizona had this much trees as South Carolina. I was like, that is crazy. So we kind of got into the debate about trees. I never forget that. That's funny to me now. And I was like, he just loved Arizona. He wanted me there really bad. He really wanted me there. Hey, Dad, this best things to sliced bread, basically, I guess. If I had my way in life, of course, right now, that my son would not have been missing. Because what I've been doing right now, as y'all talking right now, know where I'll be right now? Because it's cold. I'll be down south, down somewhere close to, not in Miami now, but I'll be close to it, down to Fort Myers or somewhere down there where it's a little warmer. I love heat, right? I love to be hot. I love the air. So I can't say when I was in Arizona, the heat didn't bother me because I love heat, right? And they call it dry heat, but it still feel like heat to me. But the thing is, I'm saying is, that's what I saw life at the time before Daniel went missing. Is I'm a retired military guy, retired, living off retirement, happy, to be serving the country but dealing with the things, right? So long story, when Daniel go missing, of course, it changed a lot for me from fighting for him all these weeks in the desert, starting the Daniel Robinson Foundation, trying to help other families, trying to advocate, do all the stuff. It's never ever been to this point, like all them years now, it's never been about something I want to do, right? I haven't been on vacation in my since before COVID, right? When everybody had to stay at home, we all couldn't go nowhere. Before that, that's the last time I ever been on vacation. Because we had to stay home, and then as soon as it lifted, my daughter got married. Last time when I seen Daniel, that's the crazy part. The last time I seen Daniel physically, when his sister got married, they came down here, and then we had the plans to go there. But the thing is, I haven't been anywhere but to Arizona, and somehow Daniel got me into Arizona. So being in Arizona, searching for him in a bad way. But what I'm saying is that turned out to be more of all the work that I've been trying to do and really pushing hard for, to even crafting some legislation. You guys, I want y'all to understand this is real. Crafting my own legislation because I don't have cell phone pings for my son to this day that would give me answers. I think about all the families that's out there who don't have those things. I hear even law enforcement, believe it or not, I think about them too. Don't have the tools they need to properly do their job. So I had to come up with something, right? And so what I'm saying is I was able to do that and just try to craft those legislation to help them. I did. And I told those telecommunication companies, again, you guys know about that. I had meetings with the senators in Arizona, with the telecommunication companies, T-Mobile, Sprint, AT&T, all of them. And they all had the same sentiment with this hiding behind these policies and certain things, not to release people's stuff, right? Make a long story, I told them I was coming through their back door, and back door mean, you know what? I got it. I'm coming through your back door because, I told you guys I'm a stubborn person. You're not going to just beat me, right? And so, I told them I'll come through your back door. Don't worry about it. I'll come through your back door. And I don't know what they probably thought what I meant by that, but what I meant by it was I'm going to run for U.S. Congress because, you know what? I'm going to do it myself. These senators can't do it, then I'm just going to do it myself, right? And so that's what my public office came from. Trying to run for office is because of that. Legislation to help find families, right? Give law enforcement the tools, give family power to get certain data and things like that. So I crafted legislation, wrote it, taught myself how to write legislation. Make a long story, I was taking it to Congress with me. I ran for Congress in 2024, so that changed my whole life as well. It's not about David anymore again. It's all about running on the campaign trail, trying to figure this thing out. Never did this before, not a politician, whatever, right? I won my primary. I had a primary election, won about 81% of the vote. Then I had a general election. That was a presidential year, and lost that. But I had 41% of the vote against a 24-year incumbent, right? And I'm running again here in 2026, doing the same thing. I have a primary, unfortunately, but then I'm have a what's the midterm election? It's coming up on November 3rd. to get this legislation to Congress and do it myself, right? That's one thing. The other part is I was able to take that same legislation and tweak it to fit South Carolina's law. And also I'm tweaking it to fit Arizona's law, and I'm tweaking it to fit Louisiana's law while I'm waiting to try to win to go to the U.S. Congress in November. But I already did it for South Carolina. I introduced it here in South Carolina to a Senator Ott, who filed it for this month, her session. So right now it's going through the process. I'm saying this to you guys because I need those who have missing loved ones to go with me to testify, because we're going to go point to testify to get this legislation passed and pushed. And I really need people's help. So I'm saying this early because whenever that time comes, I'm reaching out to everyone to say, hey, look, even if you don't have a missing loved one, you don't have to be part of South Carolina State. I just need people to say, hey, we need this legislation. So I'll be talking about that legislation a little bit more, and we need it, and it's important, and I need your help to get it passed and get it through the South Carolina House of Representatives and Senate. And but then after that, you guys, I'm telling you again, I'm doing this whole thing for all this go together. From the time I run fighting for my son to the advocacy work to Daniel Ross, all this, and running for office, everything's together. So nothing's separate is what I'm trying to say. And that's what I'm doing with my time. Someone asks, hey, is there other things you do? Yeah, that's what I'm doing to it ain't about my life. That's the point I'm trying to say, you guys. I'm not doing anything about David. Nothing David. I'll be on the beach somewhere right now. But it's all about trying to get help for families and things like that. Don't get me wrong. There's other things that's important to me too. That's the reason why you don't just run for Congress for just missing Americans issues, but there's other issues I'm running for too as well. But my major issue is this. Is this the reason why that I would have been doing something totally different, and that pushed me to run for U.S. Congress to actually do the right thing for people, right? And so I really feel like I've been pushing that position to be able to do that, to help people, as many people as I can. I didn't ask for this, and I feel like God put me in this place, so I just have to just follow lead, right? So that's where I'm at right now. I say that for a reason, because I'm trying to find this one thing I want to share with you all before I get out of here, because it meant a lot to me. Someone came in my inbox and she was sharing. She had wrote a song, right? I'm not gonna put her name out. You probably can see it on the thing, but she wrote a song and shared it with me and let me have it for Daniel. She wrote it for Daniel, and I thought I'd say it like this: it's a beautiful song. It touched my heart. It touched many people's heart. And what I did is, with her song, I created the video to go around it, because she inspired me to do that, to add the video to go with it. So I'm gonna see if I can get it up. And, I'm trying to get it up real quick, you guys, and I'm gonna share a screen with you if I can. So, but I got to try to figure out how to get it here. Let's see here. Y'all bear with me just 1 minute. I'm trying to set it up here so you all can join in with me on this. Let me see. I wish I can do a full screen. Okay. I may not be able to get the full screen, but you always see the comments and things like that. So it's not going to look the prettiest thing, because I'm actually sharing screen with you. So it's going to look kind of funny here. I'm looking at the screen to see if I can try to find a button there for the full screen, but I don't see it. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and play it. I'm going to play it and then share it with you guys if you want to listen to it. I might even add it to what I do here. See if I can find the share screen button here. Sorry, screen with this one here. And all right, I'm going to share a screen with you guys. And if y'all can see that, everyone can see this, please let me know. It looks kind of weird to me. So let's see. Was I going to hide myself?
Robinson, gone forth here, but never forgotten. We grow restless, searching the world for truth. Tracks in the sand disappear with the sun. One more story left undone, deep in the ravine. But where did you go? The desert keeps secrets it won't ever show. Whispers in the wind, they don't explain why the stars look down with quiet pain. Lost in the dust where the shadows play, gone without a word, without a way. Family holds on through the cruel unknown, searching the silence to bring you home. A hat on the sea, a life left behind. Questions louder than the wind's grind. They say you could have just walked away, but love knows better. It doesn't stray. The cactus stands guard, the moon sheds its light, but the truth hides deep in the arms of the night. Every mile's a prayer, every search a plea. Bring back the pieces, set the soul free. Lost in the dust where the shadows fade, gone without a word, without a way. Family holds on through the cruel unknown, searching the silence to bring you home.
Mute myself. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching that with me. I put that out there because, you know, if you come on the social media platforms, you're already on it. You will see that video sitting there. I really appreciate her for actually taking the time to do that, and you know, to even think about Daniel. Like I said, the song itself, you know, it has a lot of meaning. It took me to not you know, tear up, you know, because, you know, the meanings and the things that was put into the song, and the time and the thoughtfulness and everything. So in the heart. And so I just want to share that with you all before I jump off. Please, by me, um, you know, listen to it and tell me what you think. Again, so thank you so much, everyone, for joining in tonight. I'm gonna jump off now. I think, you know, I always say this every time. Hey, look, I'm not gonna stay on long in here. This 2 hours and 15 minutes. So I'm, you know, I'm long-winded for one thing, and I really enjoy, you know, talking with you all. I enjoy also answering questions and things like that, and I really appreciate everyone who's taking their time to be with me and to show your love and also the support, because I would not be able to go this long without you guys. I mean, literally, would not be able to go this long. I have work to still do. I'm still trying my best, the best that I have, the little that I have. I try to make the most of it. So I'm really grateful for each and everything that you all doing. Thanks so much. I see you, Tracy. Thanks so much. God bless you too. Thank you, Esther. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you as well. Yes, Janice, it is a beautiful song. I really appreciate each and every last one of you. everybody on Instagram side that I couldn't put on the screen, thank you so much for being here as well. I'll see you guys next week. If you want to come on next week and you have any more questions, please come back next week. Like I said, I'm trying to do this every week, so quick Q&A. Oh yeah, one last thing. I apologize. I wanted to go through this the journey and talk to you guys all about that and give some advice tonight, but I will do this next week. I'll try to make more time for that. But you can find on Daniel Robinson Daniel Robinson Foundation. Everything running together. DanielRobinsonFoundation.org. You can download it. You can look at it. I really appreciate it. And please forgive that website as well. Again, I'm a one-man job, one-man thing almost. Not totally. I have a team, but a lot of things I do is I have to do it myself, and it takes time. So if you look at the website and say, hey, this needs to be updated, this needs to be upgraded, please give me a little grace. I'm doing everything I can to make sure that it get back on track. So again, but the journey, you can, again, like I say, go on there and you can download it, share it with your loved ones or people you know who have missing loved ones. I really can appreciate it if you guys can do that. That's part of helping what I'm doing as well. So thanks so much. I'll talk to you all next time. God bless you.